Legion of Superheroes, 2006-2008. Explored. Welcome back to another recap of one of the strangest yet popular DC animated shows that has graced our timeline. Today, we will take you on a tour of the new metropolis and its famous residents, the Legion of Superheroes. The show premiered in 2006 and continued until 2008, when it was cancelled before a third season, the reason being the WB's transition to the CW. The series was led by producers James Tucker and Linda Steiner, who did a fair job of presenting a young Superman fighting beside the Legion members in the 31st century. The series takes inspiration from the 50 years of the comic's history and even led to a spin-off comic book series with 20 issues. In this video, we will take you through the complete lore of this cartoon series. Season 1, Man of Tomorrow. The first episode takes the viewers to Smallville in the 21st century, where a geeky young Clark Kent tests his heat vision in the bathroom. Clark's mum discusses his move to Metropolis, where he will work at the Daily Planet. Clark leaves home to visit the Smallville Fair, as his mother warns him to conceal his powers. A futuristic bubble appears in Smallville, as Brainiac 5, Saturn Girl and Bouncing Boy appear out of the machine. They have come to look for Superman and are surprised that they have arrived in Smallville and not Metropolis. Clark pretends to be weak and meek in front of his classmates in the fair, but rushes at full speed when he senses a Ferris wheel falling. The members of the Legion of Superheroes find Clark and help him. Saturn Girl even wipes the memories of the shocked spectators using her mind control powers. The Legion members try to convince Clark about his powers, but he freaks out and leaves. When Clark returns home, Martha Kent informs him that his friends from the fair are here. In the kitchen, he meets the Legion of Superheroes, who tells him about his destiny as Superman and needs his help to deal with the Fatal Five. Brainiac 5 explains that he can take Clark into the future and also bring him back right at this moment after they handle the Fatal Five situation. Clark finally agrees and tells his ma that he will be travelling to the future, who does not pay heed to the future part and asks him to take a sweater. In the 31st century, the other Legion members, like Triplicate Girl, Phantom Girl and Lightning Lad, are preparing to welcome Superman. However, they are startled when young Clark Kent appears with the other team members. Lightning Lad is unimpressed and forces Clark to run through tests like lifting 3,000 tons. When Clark falls while lifting the weight, he runs out in frustration and is surprised to see the new metropolis. He comes across the Superman Museum and is awed by the pictures and artifacts. The scene features a janitor in Booster Gold's costume cleaning the floors, which is a cool reference to the character's job before he arrived in the 20th century. We even catch a glimpse of his faithful robot friend Skeets, as well as some alien species from the Green Lantern Corps comics. Saturn Girl arrives beside him and encourages him to believe in his powers when they hear a call from the Legion headquarters about the Fatal Five attacking the city. Soon, we encounter the Fatal Five members, Mano, Tharok, Persuader, Validus, and Emerald Empress, making their grand entry. Saturn Girl instructs everyone not to look at the Emerald Empress's Emerald Eye of Ekron. As Saturn Girl has explained to Clark, the Fatal Five appears to be a powerful group of criminals that the science police cannot manage. With only a few Legion members present, the fight becomes entirely one-sided as Clark runs away at the sight of the Fatal Five. The moment was featured as the first scene for this episode, and at that time, it felt a little out of context. But don't worry, Clark had only rushed to the museum to wear the Superman costume, which didn't fit him well. He tries to fly unsuccessfully at first, but then reaches in front of the headquarters. In the meantime, Emerald Empress had already put each Legion member under mind control. Parts of this episode are taken from the Legion of Superheroes in the 31st century, issue number 1. The comics were an inspiration for the entire series. When Clark uses his heat vision while trapped, Saturn Girl encourages others to fight back. After a brilliant first fight, we see the team emerge triumphant, primarily due to Superman using his cooling breeze to freeze Emerald Empress, who he carries like a damsel in distress. But Emerald Empress teleports her team, and Lightning Lad finally warms up to young Superman, who decides to stay back in the future for a while. As Superman gets the flight ring and the team teaches him to fly, we see him do the iconic pose. Timberwolf. Opening on the planet of Rawl, we see Dr. Marlondo run away from a wolf-like creature that massacres his robots. While fighting an alien life form called Morthak, the Legion receives a distress call from Dr. Londo, who seeks their immediate help. This creature resembles a Kryptonian creature that attacked Superman's father, Jor-El, in The Last Son of Krypton episode from Superman the Animated Series. Superman and the Legionnaires get rid of the alien life and head towards Rawl, but their aircraft crash lands on the planet due to Bouncing Boy and Brainiac 5 fighting over the controls. Superman uses his X-ray vision to search the planet while Saturn Girl hears several voices. The team meets Dr. Londo in front of his lab, but Saturn Girl senses something is not quite right. Dr. Londo asks the team to help him save his work and son from the mysterious creature wreaking havoc on the planet. Bouncing Boy and Brainiac 5 again get into an argument while repairing their aircraft. A clueless Brainiac 5 pisses off Bouncing Boy, who goes away to stroll across the lab. On the other hand, Saturn Girl, Superman and Lightning Lad find parts of robots in the forest. Soon, Saturn Girl gets ambushed by spider-like robots, and while she defends herself, she is knocked out, and the wolf comes to her rescue. When Superman and Lightning Lad arrive, Saturn Girl is already missing. Saturn Girl is shown to have both telepathic and telekinetic powers in this series, while in all the comic book versions, she has only the power of telepathy. Meanwhile, Bouncing Boy lands in the restricted area, where he gets chased by Dr. Londo's robots. Saturn Girl also wakes up in a cave to find the wolf guarding her. The wolf stops her from leaving and appears to have lit the fire. However, before Saturn Girl can read its mind, Lightning Lad and Superman arrive, launching an attack and knocking down the creature. Brainiac 5 worries about Bouncing Boy and finds him just outside the hangar tied by the robots. Brainiac 5 rescues Bouncing Boy, and the two snoops inside the lab to find the Doctor has been experimenting on alien life forms. They meet the others outside the lab. Saturn Girl wakes up from her healing trance and helps the creature to return to a more human-like form. Just then, Dr. Londo appears on a hoverboard along with several alien animals. He confesses that the creature is actually his son Bryn, and Saturn Girl has already seen the Doctor experimenting on him, turning him into a monster. The team and Bryn fight against the Doctor, and when Dr. Londo releases all the animals held captive, the animals turn against him. Dr. Londo explains that he turns aliens and humans into animals. However, unlike Bryn, they don't turn back. Bryn howls and stops the animals but destroys the lab of the still smug and arrogant Doctor. Bryn leaves with the team and joins it. The swearing ceremony is also attended by other Legionnaires like Cosmic Boy, Shrinking Violet, Colossal Boy, Sun Boy, Element Lad, Block, Dream Girl and Tyrock, who appear on the monitors. Bryn assumes the superhero name of Timberwolf, and we sure look forward to seeing more of this fan-favourite character in the future.
You just made taking you to jail a whole lot easier.
Legacy. The episode begins with a giant robot trying to climb the side of a building. When it is about to crash, young Superman saves it. A red-haired girl emerges from inside the robot suit and thanks Superman before leaving. At the Legion clubhouse, Superman learns that the girl is named Alexis, who is one of the most famous and wealthiest people in the galaxy, and even has her own planet, Makathor. The team doesn't have a favourable impression of her, but when Superman receives an invitation to accompany Alexis to a party, most of them encourage him, except for Brainy. Brainiac 5 asks Superman to accompany him on a scheduled patrol that he has planned in case the scavengers attack. The series makes it a point to show that Brainiac 5, with his 12th level intelligence, is the resident nerd in the team, whose instructions are sometimes ignored by his teammates. However, he eventually lets Superman go, while Clark promises to patrol with him for the next 2 nights. When people make fun of Superman's costume at the party, Alexis comes to his aid. She soon leaves the party and steals a bike from what looks like Lobo, who is another DC character, and, in fact, an intergalactic bounty hunter. Alexis's robot butler, Woodhouse, still pays the rider for his bike. Superman follows Alexis, and they sneak into the Metro Internet building in New Metropolis together. Alexis says she has an office in the building, and they play video games and bond over their similarities in her office. However, The Legion is in jeopardy as the scavengers have finally attacked the weapons depot and they call for Superman. Superman doesn't receive Brainy's call and turns off the communicator. However, we can't really blame him, as Brainy has been pointlessly calling Superman with random updates. The distraction causes Brainiac 5's arm to get blown off as he collapses. The scavengers get away, and when the team returns to the clubhouse, they find Superman lounging. Superman feels bad about turning off the communicator, although everyone understands why he did so. Brainiac 5 also regenerates his arm, and just then, Alexis again invites Superman to another event. Realizing that the team needs him, Superman meets Alexis to tell her he cannot hang with her. Alexis convinces him to stay for an hour, which turns into the whole night as the two take part in various activities. One of the scenes features Superman and Alexis in a batting cage, where Superman hits the ball to a floating space station. The space station is a reference to the Watchtower from the Justice League series. Despite their night of fun, Superman realizes he has been missing his duties and helps the team find the scavengers. But when Woodhouse brings a message about Alexis being in trouble, he rushes out. Superman fights an android, which however turns out to be Woodhouse in disguise, as a ruse by Alexis to spend time with Superman. An upset Superman leaves to join his teammates, angering Alexis. She upgrades the scavengers while placing a fake distress call in the Alt Cloud. Superman, being the only one who can resist the radioactive region of Alt Cloud, heads there, while the scavengers in new armor and Alexis in a new giant robot enter the Legion clubhouse. The fight proves challenging for the Legionnaires without Superman, who finds a beacon with Alexis's company logo in the Alt Cloud. He comes back to the clubhouse and fights back alongside his team. Superman also destroys Woodhouse, but Alexis tries to blow him off. As Superman tries to resist the laser fire, it backfires and blows off Alexis' suit, burning all her hair. It reminds us of another foe of Superman, and sure enough, we find Alexis in prison with the name Luthor printed in interlac on her uniform. Interlac is the written language used in the 31st century and can be seen everywhere across the planet. The episode ends with Alexis bringing Woodhouse back as she has found a new evil purpose in life.
I was born there. It made me just like you, only better.
Phantoms. The Legion of superheroes might be falling short in focusing on ensemble DC characters, but it will always be iconic for the alternative take on Superman. The story features a time when Superman, or Clark Kent, was not yet aware of his strength and the world-class image he has. Add to that the factor that he is way into the future, where his accolades have all become legendary tales. It does have an impact on our hero, who keeps going back to Superman Museum. This time, he accidentally releases a prisoner while curiously touching a Phantom Zone projector displayed in the museum. The prisoner, Drax, is a Kryptonian criminal who comes out with his ferocious-looking pets, Comet and Cupid. The pets also resemble the alien creatures Bizarro adopted in Bizarro's World from the Superman, the animated series. Drax trashes the museum and brings down parts of the building on Clark, failing to recognize him as the legendary Superman. Superman relays the issue to his team members, and Brainy deduces what the projector does, identifying it as a technology older than Superman. Meanwhile, Drax fancies a walk on the streets of New Metropolis, but causes accidents and destruction, drawing the science police. Drax and his pets get rid of the police when the Legionnaires arrive to take hold of the situation. Saturn Girl projects illusions to scare the pets while Timberwolf fights them. Superman is able to subdue Drax for a while and asks him to stop, but a voice in Drax's head reminds him that he is evil and must not fail. The pets gather around Drax and use optical blasts to escape while surprising the Legionnaire. At the headquarters, Lightning Lad complains that Phantom Girl's mother, the President of the Galaxy, should work to mend the relationship between the Science Police and the Legion. Clark believes that Drax has a vendetta against Superman, while Brainy finds that Superman and Drax are genetic equals. Elsewhere, Drax receives another telepathic message that reminds him of his training. Drax promises to finish Superman and free the voices he hears. The next day, Drax's pets attack the city, but the Science Police cruisers attack both the pets as well as the Legionnaires. The Legionnaires realize that Drax is missing, and Superman goes to find him. Drax has cornered Brainiac 5 in the headquarters, and though Brainy uses a kryptonite stone, it doesn't affect Drax, as his parents had made him immune to the stone. Brainy turns into his mecha form to fight Drax when Superman shows up. Brainy calls the Legionnaires for help, and when Superman has almost defeated Drax, they hand Superman the Phantom Zone projector. However, Drax turns the projector towards the Legionnaires, who vanish into the Phantom Zone, leaving Superman to fend off Drax. Drax further smashes the projector, trapping the Legionnaires. Superman arms himself with weapons from inside the headquarters to fight Drax while the others defend themselves against the Phantom Zone residents. Some of the prisoners shown in this zone are several popular Superman villains like Doomsday, as well as the pre-Crisis era General Zod and Faora. Since the Legionnaires can't fight the Phantom villains, Brainy forms a temporary force field to save themselves. On the other hand, Drax says that it's not what Superman has done but what he will do that developed his grudge. Drax also intended to show Superman the kryptonite stone Brainy had hidden from him. Meanwhile, Brainy figured out a way for them to escape the dimension with Lightning Lad and Phantom Girl's help. Since this may mean Phantom Girl may get stuck, Timberwolf protests. A Beauty and the Beast arc is surely in play here. The team manages to get back, while Superman sends Drax and the kryptonite-containing sphere through the same portal. Phantom Girl also comes back, and Superman confesses that although he has several questions for the time being, he likes the mystery and won't visit the museum. This may prove a progressive approach, but Brainy's discomfort means this arc has more drama. Champions. If you can guess from the title, this segment centers on the 343rd Intergalactic Games happening at Olympus 12, where Superman and Phantom Girl have gone to support Lightning Lad in a race in the decathlon. However, seeing that his brother, Mekt Rance, is also partaking in the race upsets Lightning Lad. Apparently, there's no love lost between the siblings as Mekt intends to upstage his brother. As Lightning Lad prepares for the race, Phantom Girl reluctantly takes Superman to the diplomatic skybox to meet her mother, President Winnemar Wazzo, and watch the games from there. Superman fumbles before the president in his nervousness, while Winnemar misconstrues him as her daughter's boyfriend. In the race, Mekt deliberately fouls Lightning Lad, but the judge looks away. Lightning Lad still wins the race, and Mekt comes second. The scoreboard also features Tal, Jonar, or Ultra Boy, Drake Burrows, Motor, and Tenzil Kem, who is the Matter-Eater Lad. Feeling rather uncomfortable beside her mother, Phantom Girl pulls Superman out to get snacks, and while out, Superman notices a death bomb attached to the skybox. Superman rips it off, flies to space, and hurls it far, but the explosion causes a gravitational pull that Superman narrowly escapes. On his return, Phantom Girl explains that somebody must have placed it to kill her mother. Right then, Superman notices Tharok disguised as a pinwheel vendor. Tharok gets away from Superman, who realizes that the Emerald Empress must be cloaking the entire Fatal Five. Garth, aka Lightning Lad, stays in the game to keep an eye on, while Tinya, aka Phantom Girl, goes to protect her mother. A banner in the main arena reads "Batman Lives" in Interlac, which is probably a homage to the legendary Justice League member. Garth does well in the flare surfing game until Mekt causes another little accident to throw Lightning Lad off the board. Superman finds Mano sabotaging a transport ship that will crash into the skybox. Superman and Phantom Girl stop the accident, while obstacles in the 500-meter lava canyon race prove difficult for the Rance brothers. Mekt uses a detonator to delay his brother, who helps another racer as Mekt wins the race by cheating. Later, during the prize distribution ceremony, Mekt attempts to repay a favor to the judge and clicks on a device that breaks the force field around the arena, and the Fatal Five appears. The Legionnaires fight against the Fatal Five while Tinya takes her mother to safety. Mekt flees from the scene, with only a sorry to his brother. In the comics, Mekt joins the Legion of Supervillains and uses the name Lightning Lord. As the fight occurs in the arena, it gets played on live TV with commentary. The Emerald Eye restrains Superman, and he tries to blast it off with his heat visions, but it doesn't work, as Emerald Empress must have overcome this weakness. No worries, Jonar. Tenzil, Kim, and Zok use their strength to take down the Fatal Five. After the Fatal Five are taken into custody, Mekt reveals that he had no idea that the judge was one of them. He offers the medal to Garth, who refuses it, However, Mecht smiles slyly after Garth. The Legionnaires and the competitors get felicitated by the president. Tinya is surprised she is not given a medal, but the president hugs her and tells her it won't be the right political move. She also embarrasses Phantom Girl by trying to set up her with Lightning Lad. However, as they leave, Jonar winks at Tinya, which is a reference to the characters dating in the comics. The Fatal Five remains the constant threat to the Legion, but they don't seem fatal yet, despite how they are portrayed.
Oh no. I just went back for the count.
Fear Factory, the Legion of Superheroes might be a cult classic animation series, but this season has a juvenile spirit, so we wouldn't mind handling more mature themes a little bit. This episode takes the horror theme, as we find 5 Legionnaires watching an old space horror movie when their cruiser gets trapped in a cosmic storm. Brainy finds an empty space station, but Saturn Girl hears several voices coming from the station. Despite being a superhero, Bouncing Boy gets extremely scared of the situation. The Legion lands their cruiser on the docking bridge, where a 6-eyed creature dressed as a butler meets them. The butler ushers the Legionnaires into the station to meet his master. In the hallway, the team sees pictures of various creatures on the wall. As the butler says, his master is a collector. Plain goo-like dinner is served to the members as Professor Planaris introduces himself as the host. The butler is named Boris, who deliberately scares Bouncing Boy. Professor Planaris looks like a typical Dark Lord, so it's surprising that nobody doubts his intentions. He says the space station is named Quavermass 12, based on its creators, and is an intergalactic rest stop. It appears Professor Planaris is well aware of Legion, as the food served caters to the individual palates. However, Bouncing Boy's soup seems to have eyeballs in it. Later, Boris shows everyone to their rooms and assigns the farthest room to Bouncing Boy. Bouncing Boy gets scared by the horror-themed ambience but befriends a cat that jumps on him. He follows the cat around and lands in different locations, reminding him of several fictional horror movie sequels. He finally lands on the ship from the movie they were seeing earlier in the episode. Now, this movie is a homage to the first Alien film. The animation done in these parts is quite interesting, especially since a majority of the animation was done at Korea's Dongwoo and Lotto studios. Coming back to our thriller, Saturn Girl wakes up sensing something happened to Bouncing Boy. She, along with Superman, Lightning Lad and Brainiac 5, look for Bouncing Boy. They find an alien from the movie binding its tentacles on Bouncing Boy. Superman tries to rescue him, but a portal opens and sucks him in. Soon, another door opens, and the team enters what looks like Lightning Lad's bedroom. Superman tries to make a hole in the wall so that they can get on the cruiser, but the wall repairs itself. A clown doll called Captain Howdy terrorizes Lightning Lad, who screams, and the portal appears, sucking him in. Next, another door opens, which takes Saturn Girl on a long, terrifying roller coaster. As she screams, Brainy realizes that the screams open the portal. After Saturn Girl is taken, Superman and Brainy find the captured Legionnaire's terrified images hanging on the walls. Brainy gives Superman a chip to hold on to if anything happens to him. In his simulation, Brainy sees Coluans forcing him to return. Brainy takes his large robotic form to fight, which damages Quavermass 12's holographic projector. Brainy uploads a virus of himself to the computer and vanishes. Meanwhile, Superman was immobilized by the robot, who is now able to free himself. A hologram of Brainy appears to inform that the ship uses fear as an energy source, holding the victims in their perpetual state of horror. Brainy asks Superman to destroy the processor to free everyone, even though it can kill Brainiac 5. Apparitions of Professor Planaris and Boris try to convince Superman otherwise, but Superman makes a wise choice and proceeds to shut it down. Martha Kent tries to stop Superman, but Superman ignores the simulation. Early promotions of the series meant to name Clark Kent as Superboy, but due to DC losing the rights to Superboy name, he was called Young Superman. Everybody gets freed from the pictures as Superman comes out with the body of Brainiac 5 and thinks that he is dead, but the others casually tell him that Brainy always keeps a backup. Superman uses the chip Brainy gave him to restore him. As everyone is rescued, a far more terrifying aspect of watching Bouncing Boy's favourite reality TV remains.
I may not have my powers,
brain drain. In another one of Brainiac 5 focused episodes, we see the Legionnaires camping outside Brainiac 5's lab and worrying about him showing erratic behavior. Brainy emerges from the lab, rips off a control panel, and returns inside. He sounds frustrated, and so Superman asks Computo to override the door and get inside. They find that Brainiac 5 has built a containment chamber for himself. Brainiac 5 explains that in every third solar cycle, the Kulans undergo an alignment process where everyone's memory is uploaded to the Coluan hive mind to be shared. But since Brainiac 5 has detached himself from the hive mind, it might be painful or alter his personality, making him dangerous. Brainy quickly gets inside the chamber as light flashes, indicating the start of the alignment. Everyone waits for Brainy outside, and we see Brainy behave oddly, like almost a child. During this time, Brainy calls for his Coco, which might be a reference to the monkey he used to carry around in the comics. However, Brainy doesn't return to normal even after the scheduled time is over, and Computo detects a malfunction. Superman breaks a pipe into the chamber and rescues Brainy as the chamber explodes. Later, Saturn Girl scans Brainy to find his neural pathways degrading, putting him in danger of going offline. Computo answers that exposure to a high dose of Zunium could alter the effect, but Timberwolf says it could only be found on Zune, a widely known inhospitable planet. As Bryn grew up there, Superman chose him to lead the mission. Meanwhile, a comment by Brainy that Superman shouldn't go near the Red Ants is a premonition for the Red Sun to strip Superman of his powers. The group then takes incoherent Brainy to the transmitter station depot and asks the dispatcher to allow them to use the gate. Timberwolf passes through the gate, but Superman feels sick after crossing and loses his powers, while only Brainy's head makes it through the gate. Superman and Timberwolf wear a suit to make it through Zun, as Brainy keeps on muttering nonsense. However, his comments about the different coloured stones are a reference to the different kryptonites. They soon meet a group of miners mutated by the toxic air who charge after the Legionnaires. The sequence of the 3 Legionnaires escaping the miners may very well remind you of football, as Superman and Timberwolf pass Brainy's head like a ball. Apart from the several pop culture references, it is also the first time Superman uses the Legion's flight ring for flying. They finally make it through an elevator shaft and decide to go to the vault through another route. Meanwhile, Saturn Girl and Lightning Lad have taken the dispatcher's help to find Brainy's body running around in Diaphos 3. Both of them try to subdue Brainy's body but fail, as the body takes its mecha form. They devise a new plan by which Saturn Girl lures Brainiac 5's body through the gate with the help of an illusion. Back at Zune, spider-like mine bots surround our heroes, and Superman comes across a stronger mine worker suit that helps him get rid of the bots. It is again a reference to Ripley in the movie Aliens fighting off the mother, Alien. This episode also references a Star Wars movie as a file named TK421, used by Brainiac 5, is an ID code of a stormtrooper. On the other hand, Brainy has attached his head to a spider bot and continues with his childlike behavior. Superman and Timberwolf separate the head from the spider bot, but Brainy develops tentacles to walk. Superman still manages to take him to the pit, with only a few seconds left before Brainy goes offline. A weakened Superman saves Brainy, who helps him out of the pit, and we also find Timberwolf standing triumphant over dead bots. They come out of the gate to find Saturn Girl and Lightning Lad have tied Brainy's struggling body. Back at their base, Superman asks Brainy why the Red Sun affected him, and Brainy nonchalantly says that Superman can only survive under a yellow sun. He adds that Superman must figure out things in his own timeline in the 21st century, which makes Superman wonder what else Brainy has hidden from him.
No, I can toast you. I got more power from that lightning beast than you did.
We'll see.
Lightning Storm. The story starts with Legion members Colossal Boy, Bouncing Boy, Saturn Girl, Triplicate Girl, Superman and Lightning Lad fighting a giant space squid that has trapped all the members in its tentacles. They are rescued by a new group of superheroes who arrive in their own ships and look much older than the Legionnaires. Lightning Lad immediately develops a fascination for the other team and is embarrassed by the Legion's unsuccessful stint. When Superman goes to thank the team, Tyr, their leader, asks the Legion to clean up the mess created by the space squid. Later, at the clubhouse, Saturn Girl teases Lightning Lad, and they notice that the new group is at the 3rd Rock Diner space station. The Legion goes there, and Lightning Lad approaches the new group. Tia appreciates Lightning Lad and introduces him to all the members of the group called Lightspeed Vanguard. A female telepath called Esper hands Lightning Lad a card with LSV on it. Ironically, this is also the initial of the Legion of Supervillains. Hopefully, you are getting the drift here. Sometime later, Lightning Lad finds that several applicants have arrived to audition for joining the Legion, and a super enthusiastic Porcupine Peter even makes a nuisance of himself while meeting Lightning Lad. A future Legionnaire Invisible Kid 2 and members of the Legion of Substitute Heroes appear to make a cameo in this scene. The poor prospects embarrass Lightning Lad as he goes outside and touches the card, which opens up a portal. Lightning Lad steps in and appears amongst the LSV members. However, he is shocked to find Mech Rans greet him as one of the LSV members. They ask Lightning Lad to join the team, who, still undecided, use the communicator to inform the Legionnaires about hanging out with the LSV. It is revealed that Lightning Lad is one of the founders of the Legion, and naturally, everyone doesn't take the news well. Saturn Girl notes that Esper cloaked the LSV's mind, so Timberwolf and Superman go on a stakeout. While Lightning Lad is not too happy with his brother there, he remembers the time when Mech tried to save Garth and his twin Ayla from the lightning beast of Korbal, thereby getting their powers. Esper reads the memory without permission and upsets Lightning Lad. Meanwhile, Superman and Timberwolf observe the LSV cruiser from their own ship, which is in stealth mode. They follow the LSV ship, going on a mission where Sand Raiders are attacking a transport. Tia asks Lightning Lad to handle a giant robot by himself, but he falters, and Superman and Timberwolf come to his rescue. This further annoys Lightning Lad, who decides to stay with the LSV. But things don't go smoothly, as Lightning Lad comes to know that the LSV is a business organization that collects fees for helping others. The LSV decides to raid the transport themselves as the captain is unwilling to pay. Meanwhile, the Legionnaires have also received the call about hijackers and are not extremely surprised when they see that the LSV are the hijackers. Lightning Lad refuses to do the dirty job and strikes Tia, which results in him being thrown out of their ship. The Legionnaires rescue Lightning Lad, who is finally ready to fight his brother. Timberwolf fights Hunter, and Saturn Girl fights with Esper. Bouncing Boy and Triplicate Girl also observe the fight and find Wave and Ron Carr approaching for a ship-to-ship battle. However, Bouncing Boy's superb maneuvers work in their favor. Simultaneously, Superman takes Tia down, while other Legionnaires also win their individual fights. Aspects of this story are taken from Legion of Superheroes Volume 4 and Issue 64, where Livewire had quit the Legion to join the workforce, which included Spider-Girl, an equivalent of Wave. During their fight, Mech tries to remind Garth how he saved his siblings, but Garth doesn't let it affect him anymore. Yet he falls under debris, and Mech spares him, saying he likes the fact that Lightning Lad still owes him. Superman asks Lightning Lad to join the Legion in delivering the decontamination units that were being raided. With Mech flying away, the rest of LSV are taken into custody. Aboard the cruiser, Lightning Lad and Saturn Girl share a warm exchange, while Triplicate Girl and Bouncing Boy are crushing on each other. It's a happy ending for all, except for maybe Breath Boy, who is still holding his breath from the time of the auditions. The Substitutes. The auditions are still ongoing, as the Legionnaires are still looking for appropriate candidates. Among the rejects are Chlorophyll Kid, Stone Boy, Color Kid, Infectious Lass, and Porcupine Pete, who still scares Lightning Lad. Color Kid's colorization of Superman is often considered as a homage to Superman's red and blue imaginary story from 1963, but may also be a tribute to Bizarro, Pre-Crisis Superman, and Poisoned Superman. The only two who are selected from the auditions are Tenzil Kem, the Matter-Eater lad, who can eat and digest almost anything, and Starboy, who can make anything lighter or heavier. After the auditions are over, Bouncing Boy meets the rejects and encourages them to audition in the future, citing his own failures at first. But soon, he is called back to the launch bay to leave for a mission. While all the Legionnaires leave, the rejected ones decide to prove their mettle by doing well. However, these attempts are grossly misfired and add a bit of humour. For instance, Colour Kid changes the colour of a puppy to return it to someone who has lost their dog while the actual owner looks for their puppy. Infectious Lass infects an older woman while helping her cross the street, and now she has to be taken to the hospital. Stoneboy also doesn't do anything except turn into a stone statue with a stop pose while robbers get by. The montage is played with Infectious Lass's clogged nasal voiceover, making it even funnier. Things are, however, slightly serious for the Legionnaires confronting a giant lobster-like beast, and Superman tasks the new Legionnaires to handle the situation. Matter-Eater Lad consumes one beast, but several ones appear. On the other hand, the rejected members rejoice at their delusional achievements until Starfinger appears, who applauds himself for possessing every power at his fingertips. He creates large bee-like creatures who help him to steal money and jewelry. After Starfinger leaves, the substitutes find Starfinger's hideout and inform Brainy, who dismisses them as focusing on outer space. This story is again loosely based on Adventure Comics issue number 306, in which several rejected applicants work together while the Legion is away. This version is, however, great in terms of adding several comedic moments and humour. Things have become complicated in outer space as more atmosphere-stealing creatures appear out of nowhere. Back on Earth, the rejects, or as we may now call them substitutes, enter the hideout and fight Starfinger valiantly, but seem to be losing. Starfinger is every bit the overdramatic evil guy. He produces more furry bugs that take Stoneboy above the atmosphere. The furry bugs turn into the atmosphere-stealing bugs once out in space, revealing their origin secret. As they leave, Stoneboy turns into stone and heads back to Earth, where he crashes into Starfinger, finally defeating him. The substitutes realize the secret of the creatures and how Starfinger's fingers are producing it, but they find it difficult to remove the glove. Meanwhile, Brainy has sent reinforcements like Shrinking Violet, Element Lad, Sunboy, Block, and Tyrock to help the Legionnaires. He even comes himself with a cannon that will charge the ionosphere like a bug zapper, but has a 14.349% chance of setting the sky on fire. Just as Brainy is about to fire the cannon, we see Porcupine Pete's mother bring the team to space in her car with Starfinger tied in front. The substitutes explain everything, and everybody except Brainiac 5 believes them. Brainy finally removes the glove and attaches it in front of the cannon to kill the bugs. As the substitutes save Earth, they decide they will not audition next year, but will be the replacements when Legion is not around. Bouncing Boy names them the Legion of Substitute Heroes. As Superman congratulates Pete, he thinks nothing can ruin the moment, except it does when his mom comes beckoning him for nap time. Child's Play. Despite the title, the 10th episode of this animated series covers a unique storyline with a child villain. At the beginning of the episode, we see Superman being mesmerized by the 31st century technologies in a coffee shop, when he and Brainiac 5 notice that the muffins and the store have come alive. It also literally starts raining cats and dogs when Brainy senses some terrible power is at play. However, Superman finds a little boy spewing magic, transforming everything into something abnormal. When Brainiac 5 refuses to believe in magic, the child Zix turns him into a jack-in-the-box. Superman introduces himself and asks the boy to make everything normal. He then takes Zix to headquarters, where he annoys everyone. This scene references Green Lantern's power battery and Dr. Fate's helmet, which are conjured by Zix. The character of Zix is also similar to XYZPTLK in costume, powers, and hero worship of Superman. Saturn Girl fails to read Zix's mind, but Phantom Girl believes that Zix might be from a sorcerer's world her mother once talked about. Winnemar tells Tinya that if Zix is from Zarok, it may mean trouble, as Zarok has arcane ideas and too many rules and has severed any diplomatic relations with the United Planets. Afterward, Lightning Lad informs everyone that Drax's pets, Comet and Cupid, have been let loose from their cage. The Legionnaires assemble to handle the situation, but Lightning Lad prohibits Zix from joining them. Zix still turns up during the mission. As it turns out, he is the one who opened Comet and Cupid's cage. An unrepentant Zix conjures up a Superman suit for himself as he rides one of the beasts. Although Saturn Girl puts the pets to sleep to cage them, Lightning Lad threatens to send Zix home. Zix gets mad and turns Lightning Lad into a rat, and also Bouncing Boy into a goo splattered on the wall. Zix also turns Brainiac 5's hands into snakes and turns himself into a supervillain as he hurts Superman with rose thorns and traps him in giant carnivorous flowers. Seeing that even Superman is vulnerable to magic, Phantom Girl decides to go to Zarok. Saturn Girl creates a diversion for her, but Zix catches up soon and conjures several alarm clocks to distract her. The cruiser escapes, but magic hits Triplicate Girl, who starts multiplying uncontrollably inside the cruiser. Winnemar disapproves of her daughter's actions as she flies to Zarok. The call is interrupted when a man dressed like a 19th century police officer with a British accent appears and charges Triplicate Girl for unauthorized use of a triplicating spell outside the magical sphere. He also explains that the girls have to take it up to the Sorcerer's High Council, but first, get a fusion spell from the Bureau of Magical Affairs. Phantom Girl rightfully retorts how they can do so when they cannot see the planet, to which the man decloaks the planet. Meanwhile, on Earth, Zix has turned into a giant as he stomps through New Metropolis. As a result, the magic on the Legionnaires wears off, except for Lightning Lad. They get concerned and find Superman exhausted. In Zarok, Phantom Girl runs through several procedures and waits in extremely long lines until she gets to meet the Sorcerer's High Council. Although the sequence is seemingly funny, especially when going through customs means fighting a giant bunny in a boxing ring, it does explain why Zix might have left. This is, however, explained by a council member who states that people with magic would cause chaos without rules. The council agrees to send an emissary, but Phantom Girl's arrival is considered a hostile act, which leads to Zarok declaring war on the United Planets. Back on Earth, Zix takes Superman's powers to stop him and is about to stomp on him when Saturn Girl saves Superman. Brainy admits to magic being real, but it doesn't do the trick. Superman devises a new plan to buy time, and he taunts Zix. Zix challenges the heroes and restores Superman's powers as he turns into a fire-breathing dragon. As the Legionnaires continuously attack Zix, it starts exhausting him until he turns into a bomb and falls down after exploding. Back in Zarok, Phantom Girl has used her wit to surrender, which forces them to call off the war and help her. Phantom Girl, Triplicate Girl, and the High Council leader come back to Earth and restore everything, including Lightning Lad. He appreciates Phantom Girl's endeavors and extends a hand of friendship to the President of the United Planet, but leaves us clueless about Phantom Girl's terms of surrender. Chain of Command. We are introduced to a familiar scene of the Legion cruiser heading towards a crisis situation. A storm has hit the planet of Winath, where Lightning Lad is from. Lightning Lad explains that the planet is the source of food supply for the galaxy, and its silos can hold decades worth of food. But as cosmic storms are often ravaging the planet, the Winathians have built a core diffuser station that turns the storm's energy into power. However, as the storm is more powerful than what the core is built to withstand, Lightning Lad asks Saturn Girl to read the people, and she informs that everyone, including his parents, is safe in the central storm shelter, but afraid. The scene shows Winathians with mostly twin kids, a characteristic of the planet. Garth's twin sister Ayla is also a Legionnaire called Lightning Lass. Since being born as a non-twin is uncommon, it probably explains why Mecht resents his younger siblings. Lightning Lad proves a heroic leader as he instructs Bouncing Boy and Triplicate Girl to stay on board the cruiser, who cannot enter the planet due to the storm's turbulence. He leads the others to the landing station in a battle pod, but is mightily surprised to see Cosmic Boy. Saturn Girl hugs Cosmic Boy, while Colossal Boy high-fives him. Cosmic Boy is also pleased to meet Superman and introduces a new recruit called Ferro Lad. It doesn't bode well for Lightning Lad as his leadership gets replaced by the elected leader, Cosmic Boy. Lightning Lad gets more upset when Saturn Girl, who promised to stay beside him, goes along with Cosmic Boy's orders. Brainiac 5 struggles to repair anything at the core, and Cosmic Boy tries to control it with electromagnetism. While outside, Lightning Lad, Superman, Ferro Lad, and Colossal Boy get the turbine running. An overload soon disrupts their efforts, and the storm disrupts their comlink. Saturn Girl sends a message to Superman, who flies inside picks up the core and hurls it into space before it explodes. As an unconscious Superman floats in space, Bouncing Boy catches him on the cruiser with a wise maneuver. Meanwhile, an argument erupts between Lightning Lad and Cosmic Boy, as Lightning Lad feels they should now focus on saving people. Colossal Boy and Ferro Lad join him, while Brainy stays with Cosmic Boy to rebuild the core. Cosmic Boy also forces Saturn Girl to stay and be their communication link. However, Bouncing Boy has identified a pattern of the storm and tries to alert Lightning Lad, who doesn't listen to him. As Lightning Lad finds Ferro Lad suspicious for wearing a mask, he retorts that it's better. Lightning Lad doesn't see what's underneath the mask. This is an allusion to the voice actor Dave Wittenberg's character in Naruto. In the cruiser, Triplicate girls fuss over Superman, while Bouncing Boy notices something dangerous that can affect the shelter. Superman rushes back to Wynath to help others. Lightning Lad's home gets destroyed despite his efforts, while Brainy and Cosmic Boy have got the power back. However, this time, Saturn Girl leaves to help others as she is upset about being treated like a child. While this may indicate some romantic affiliations, Lightning Lad and Saturn Girl shippers are known to hate Cosmic Boy. As everybody keeps ignoring Bouncing Boy, he becomes frustrated and takes charge, forcing others to listen to him. Of course, he gets some motivation from Triplicate Girl. He delegates duties to every Legionnaire to control a flood, and Saturn Girl heads to the shelter to stop the Wynathians from worrying. The crisis is averted as the core is restored, and the United Planet ships arrive to help the Wynathians. Aboard the cruiser, Brainy says that his upgrades to the core will now help withstand stronger storms. Lightning Lad is, however, not happy with Cosmic Boy assuming leadership after he has been absent for a long time. Cosmic Boy tries to justify it by saying he was trying to make the Legion legitimate, but Lightning Lad calls for a re-election. To their surprise, Bouncing Boy is elected as the new leader for his show of leadership in the recent crisis. He has difficulty believing that, but is supported and congratulated by everyone. Lightning Lad teases that his tenure would be a breeze as all enemies are locked up, but maybe he spoke too soon, as the story ends on a cliffhanger with the arrival of a new figure from a cosmic portal.
Beta team, take out those robots.
Sundown, Part 1. The episode does not pick up where it left us last time, but we see a familiar scene of the Legion of superheroes fighting the Fatal Five. As the leader, Bouncing Boy finds it exceptionally difficult to keep track of and manage the team as his teammates get terminated one by one. The Fatal Five enters the cruiser and is about to strike him down when suddenly a voice announces the failure of the simulation. This has been a training session, and to encourage Bouncing Boy, Cosmic Boy reminds him that he too failed this simulation 9 times. Fatal Five appears as the main and consistent antagonists against the Legion. Those of you who have seen Justice League Unlimited, episode Far From Home, where Supergirl arrives in the future and meets the Legion of superheroes to help them against the Fatal Five, may think that it was a backdoor pilot. However, James Tucker has clarified that this series was made from scratch as Cartoon Network wanted a Superman-centric series, which later passed on to Kids WB. However, it's not just Fatal Five, as apparently Lightning Lad has lost 11 Daxam simulations. A dejected Bouncing Boy goes outside and berates himself when Triplicate Girl consoles him. However, before they can embark on another simulation, Brainy calls them on a mission to Cheyenne Delta, a deserted moon. Brainiac 5 explains that it has a Fenton Arms depot, a maximum security storage facility that contains weapons from the Great Crisis. This is a reference to Crisis on Infinite Earths and Final Crisis. Superman further notices that the sun is a red dwarf star that takes his powers, but Brainy has prepared a battlesuit to protect him from radiation. Once the team enters the moon, the robot guards try to stop them, but Brainy's mecha form makes them retreat. Brainy informs that there has been a Category 9 containment failure. Bouncing Boy sends everyone to different levels to secure it, but the Legionnaires fail to stop the weapon from escaping. The weapon turns out to be a Sun Eater that expands once it goes into space. As the Sun Eater heads for the Cheyenne Prime, the Red Sun, Brainy explains that it was created during the Great Crisis by an interdimensional species called the Controllers to end wars. Although it was used twice, it was extremely dangerous and couldn't be dismantled. Hence, it was stored in Fenton. Since the Sun Eater is only running on reserved power, they try to stop it. However, This proves futile and affects the cruiser, while Brainy Mecha's suit and Superman's battlesuit get stripped, rendering him weak. The team regroups inside the cruiser. Bouncing Boy orders Brainy, Ferro Lad and Phantom Girl to make a plan, while others go for damage repair. Superman probes the question of whether they should look for what caused the containment failure, but he is forced to work in the engine room. After the repairs, he senses something and finds a nearly invisible robot destroying it. Superman fights the robot, which now appears in solid form. Brainy comes to Superman's rescue and destroys the robot, which he recognizes is sent by a controller. As the cruiser inches near the Sun-Eater, they find hundreds of similar robots protecting it. Superman pilots the cruiser, while Brainy and Saturn Girl reach the Sun-Eater's cybernetic mind to make the Red Sun disappear. Starboy, Sunboy and Colossal Boy are already positioned, and Sunboy lures the Sun-Eater. Timberwolf joins them in getting rid of the robots, while Phantom Girl phases through the cloud and lands on the Sun-Eater to place a tracking beacon. Meanwhile, Cosmic Boy and Lightning Lad charge up Ferro Lad so that he can blast the Sun-Eater, but he misses narrowly, and Phantom Girl phases out. This sequence has been expertly written and is worth a series finale, but we have one more episode from this season. Ferro Lad blames himself, while the Sun-Eater's blast throws off everyone. The Sun-Eater finally consumes the Red Sun, and Brainy notices it's heading towards the Earth. With the looming threat of another crisis, it looks like our prayers for more mature storytelling are answered.
Of the Legion.
Sundown, Part 2. The final episode of this season begins with the Legion amidst a critical situation that requires critical measures. This meant freeing the Fatal Five and seeking their help to stop the Sun-Eater. Superman, Phantom Girl and Saturn Girl are at Takron Galtos to free them, as Shrinking Violet gets inside the console, disabling the cameras. Kari Walgren's familiar voice could be heard thrice as she voices Saturn Girl, Triplicate Girl and Shrinking Violet. Superman frees the Fatal Five and even encounters Alexis, who is still mad at him. This character was not used again in the series due to some executive meddling that wanted a more boys-focused series. The team also provides the Emerald Empress with the Eye and Persuader with his Atomic's axe to turn the Sun-Eater's power against itself. It involves teams collecting various materials, and we see Timberwolf and Colossal Boy get some equipment from scavengers, while Phantom Girl once again meets Joe to get a stabilizer core. Brainiac 5 and Bouncing Boy send Superman to find the rogue controller, especially as a means to protect him from harm. Brainy has also placed a device in the aircraft for Superman that will take him back to his original time, in case future Earth doesn't make it. Superman uses his heat vision to find the controller ship, and we come across the same controller we saw at the end of Chain of Command. Superman gets inside the ship and fights with the controller, who reasons that he believes in chaos and that once the United Planets are destroyed, everybody will bend to him. A force field rebuffs Superman's first attack, but the controller wears a battlesuit to fight. The rest of the Legionnaire and the Fatal Five complete building the solar transducer. It's funny that even the Fatal Five are freaked out by Matter-Eater Lad. Of all the different powers, this is one of the weirdest and useful ones of the lot. He disables the force field around the core of the Sun-Eater, and soon Timberwolf arrives to procure Persuader, Tharok, and Matter-Eater Lad. In the meantime, Sun-Eater has entered Earth's solar system. Emerald Empress also falls weak, and later, Bouncing Boy activates the transducer, which is launched by Brainy. Saturn Girl tries to see if everybody is alright, but finds Cosmic Boy and several other Legionnaires in a green bubble. Obviously, the Emerald Empress has played foul. However, an explosion of the eye helps the captured Legionnaires to emerge from it, again thanks to Shrinking Girl. A force field is also put to confine the Fatal Five. However, the crisis has not been averted as the transducer does not affect the Sun-Eater, as it has malfunctioned. Just when Bouncing Boy thinks they are doomed, Brainy finds a solution, which will require replacing the conductor coil in the transducer. Elsewhere, the controller mocks Superman. Ferro Lad takes it upon himself to finish the job and sneaks out while no one is looking. He transforms into a conductor, sacrificing himself to destroy the Sun Eater with the "Long Live the Legion" slogan. All the Legionnaires stand in shock, while Superman, in his rage, rips all kinds of armor from the Controller's body. The Controller attempts to escape through a portal, but Superman grabs him and threatens him. Superman leaves as the Controller's ship gets destroyed. Back at their headquarters, Superman gives a speech in honor of Ferro Lad, who joined the team for only a short while. Although he is presumed dead, his body can be seen curled up in a gouge on some distant planet or asteroid. While Ferro Lad's mortality is up for debate, the plot is certainly taken from Adventure Comics issues 352 and 353, where the Legion works with Fatal 5 to destroy a Sun Eater, and Ferro Lad carries a bomb to its heart, sacrificing himself. In Post-Zero Hour, Ferro Lad is stopped from sacrificing himself. Anyway, with the end of the first season, it's time for Superman to return to his time right before dinner is served. As another season is yet to be covered, we are sure Superman will be brought back to help the Legionnaires. Season 2, The Man from the Edge of Tomorrow, Part 1. The first episode of Season 2 starts with Superman and a teenager, Brainiac 5, fighting Dominator soldiers. Brainiac 5 saves Superman, but is on the brink of his death. Superman defeats the soldiers and bids an emotional goodbye to Brainiac 5. However, this was all a simulation, and it seems Brainy has developed some kind of hero worship or crush on Superman. The other Legionnaires, which now include Chameleon Boy, tease him, and everyone sports a more adult look, indicating that some years have passed since the events of Sundown. Brainy's wish to have Superman back is soon answered as a portal opens, and a man who looks almost like Superman but has black eyes and more rugged features enters. The man claims to be Superman from the 41st century and orders the Legionnaires to follow him. When the Legionnaires probe him, Superman X explains that he needs help saving the galaxy. The team agrees to go with him, and even Brainy reluctantly follows. Superman X also mentions the villainous Brainiac's legacy, a story we will come across later. The team appears in a future where New Metropolis is in ruins. An army of robots and other creatures immediately attacks the team. The team wins for the time being, and another robot approaches them. The future Superman introduces it to be his creator, K3NT, who appears to be a combination of male and female counterparts. Of course, this alludes to Superman's adoptive Earth parents, the Kents. They show a video of how the intergalactic warlord Imperiex invaded the planet, so they had to create Superman X from the original Superman's DNA. Superman X is further immune to kryptonite as it was introduced into his genetic makeup. Superman X shows the Legionnaires the Resistance headquarters, which is now Imperiex's newest target. The Legion decides to make a plan, but Superman X appears more of an action guy. However, he is forced by others to strategize, as Brainy reveals that he has found a weakness in Imperiex's armor. Meanwhile, Imperiex rallies his army for the attack. As a war ensues in front of the Resistance headquarters, Superman X fights directly with Imperiex. Superman X tricks Imperiex into preparing to fire a cannon from his chest, which exposes it, and Brainy fires a missile at it, apparently taking him down. Imperiex's robot army retreats, but Imperiex gets up, snatches the warp key from Superman X and leaves for the 31st century. Superman X gets mad at Brainy and blames him, but everyone notices antimatter bubbles forming in the sky. Brainy explains that Imperiex must have altered the future, and these bubbles will alter their reality. K3NT suggests using Imperiex's cruiser to open a time warp before they get lost in the bubble and bid goodbye to their son Kal-El. Once the team enters Imperiex's ship, it wakes up his robots, which attack them, and one of the triplicate girls gets lost in the antimatter bubble. This refers to a classic story arc from the original comics where one of the triplicate girls dies, and she becomes Duo Damsel. Superman X and Brainy bicker while working in the engine room, and Brainy is quite curious about his evil descendant. According to the makers, this storyline would have been followed had there been a third season. As Brainy manages to open the portal, Superman X asks him not to worry and fights with a robot. This melts Brainy's heart, and the rest of the Legionnaire soon appears. All of them make it through the portal, and when it seems like Brainy will be left behind, Superman X snatches him up and goes through the portal. However, they return to an apocalyptic 31st century with a red sky and a destroyed headquarters. As we look forward to the second part of this arc, a noticeable change in storytelling and pace can be observed with a more serious undertone. The Man from the Edge of Tomorrow, Part 2. The second part of the story continues with the return of the Legion and Superman X to the 31st century. As they examine the ruins, they hear a faint voice, and Timberwolf finds an injured Phantom Girl beneath the rubble. She informs that it was not Imperiex, but the Fatal Five and Legion of supervillains' combined effort that had brought the city to ruin. However, Lightning Lord doesn't make an appearance here. Meanwhile, other Legionnaires could be seen fighting the foes and most likely losing. The return of the future-traveling Legionnaires changes the balance of power, and the villains retreat, abandoning Emerald Empress, whose eye has been bitten off by Matter-Eater Lad. The Legionnaires take the injured colleagues to the hospital, and Matter-Eater Lad looks a bit cuckoo, while Saturn Girl is in a catatonic stage. Timberwolf questions Emerald Empress, who feels betrayed by her team, and explains how Imperiex freed them from Takron Galtos, the prison world shown in the Season 1 finale. However, the escapees imprisoned the Legionnaires who went there to recapture the villains. Interestingly, Emerald Empress calling Timberwolf Furball is a comic reference to his nickname in Glorithverse. Another notable change is the voice of Emerald Empress, which has changed from Jennifer Hale to Tara Strong. As Superman X and Lightning Lad argue about what to do next, the team decides to regroup and bring back the original Superman. Brainiac 5 is more than eager to do so, and returns with now an older and more mature Superman. Superman X is unenthusiastic with the original Superman's return, who sides with others in the decision to free the imprisoned Legionnaires. Timberwolf might also be jealous of Phantom Girl fawning over Superman, while Lightning Lad is set on avenging Saturn Girl. The other romantic duo, Bouncing Boy and Duo Damsel, also share tender moments in this episode, speaking about the lost triplicate girl. Superman tells Superman X that he reminds Superman of a loner friend, which is an apparent reference to Batman. Superman also mentions Wally as Flash. However, before they can go anywhere, Imperiex logs into Computo and sets off an alarm. Superman X rushes to the HQ, with Brainy following him. Validus appears to be helping Imperiex, as he was missing during the previous fight. They defeat Superman X, but Brainiac 5 rescues him, taking him on a Legion cruiser. Imperiex remotely sets the cruiser on self-destruction, and Brainy has to save himself and Superman X in a force field. They are rescued by a battle cruiser provided by Chameleon Boy's wealthy father. Now, Chameleon Boy is a character we like. He keeps the childish and humorous tone alive. While the rest of the team heads to Takron Galtos, Superman lets Superman X leave alone for Imperiex, as he must also have grown tired of the non-cooperative fellow. Unlike the other versions, Takron Galtos is not a prison planet in this series, it is more like a satellite. The team enters the prison but faces the LSV and Fatal Five as a battle ensues. The Legionnaires lose the battle, and Duo Damsel struggles to fight as two. They get imprisoned by the villains, and just as Esper is about to hurt Lightning Lad, Superman X makes a grand, destructive entry and opens the cells. He claims to be back as having a team rather than fighting Uno made sense, but Superman teases him. Together, they defeat the villains and re-imprison them. Even Emerald Empress looks weirdly content to be back in her cell with her bandmates. Bouncy promises to help Duo Damsel, while Brainy suggests calling Superman X as Kal-El. Although this story ends, something greater awaits as Imperiex and Validus travel to Dominator's homeworld and recruit them for his case. Cry Wolf. The story takes place sometime after the event of Man from the Edge of Tomorrow, as we see Dr. Marlondo demonstrating his new bioengineered super soldiers in a public science convention at Planet Heisenberg 7. His son, Bryn the Timberwolf, appears amongst the public and confronts his father about his inhuman experiments before going feral and killing his father. The video footage of the incident is shown by the Legion Tribunal led by Cosmic Boy, who sentences Timberwolf to life imprisonment at Takron Galtos. However, Chameleon Boy implores the tribunal to consider the matter and investigate more, while Timberwolf breaks free of his restraints and escapes. Phantom Girl, who is in the tribunal, helps Timberwolf to escape while he is being chased by other tribunal members like Kal-El, Colossal, Boy, Cosmic Boy, and Sunboy. How Kal-El became a tribunal member remains a mystery to us, as he seems to be a bit more considerate than Cosmic Boy. Timberwolf teleports to New Metropolis as Chameleon Boy shapeshifts as him to let him escape. Timberwolf has a gloomy mental monologue as he makes it through the streets at night and enters Dr. Nirg's apartment above a dark sidebar. Bryn remembers having bad headaches and blackouts. As he searches the computer, he finds his dad's message to Dr. Nirg, his partner. Another voice change is in place here, as Dorian Harewood voices Dr. Londo, while Harry Lennox voiced the role in Season 1. Bryn finds Dr. Nirg in the apartment and interrogates him, but soon, the Legionnaires attack Timberwolf, who escapes into the Darkside bar, where we see a character looking like Darkseid, among others. The bar's name is a wordplay and a superb reference to the famous Justice League and Legion villain Darkseid. Bryn wolfs out again with pain in his head, as Dr. Nirg rescues him in a spaceship. However, Dr. Nirg on the ship turns out to be Chameleon Boy, who is aided by Phantom Girl. At Heisenberg 7, they secretly get past the science police and enter the convention arena. The planet's name is a tribute to the 20th century theoretical physicist Werner Karl Heisenberg, known for his quantum mechanics work. Timberwolf examines and smells the area and sees a vision of his berserker version killing Dr. Londo. Overwhelmed by guilt, he flies off to his homeworld, Rawl, and gets inside his father's lab. The rest of the Legionnaires arrive, and Kal-El agrees to rescue Timberwolf. It is, however, shocking for Bryn to see Dr. Londo alive, who dissolves and appears as a clone. Immediately, the real Dr. Londo arrives, explaining how he implanted space-travelling nanites in Bryn's brain to control him. It is revealed that Dr. Londo made Timberwolf go berserk and orchestrated the false murder to get back his son. Londo shares that he is allied with powerful people, who we can assume are Imperiex. Londo conjures the biogolems and asks Timberwolf to be the general of his army. Timberwolf attempts to fight back, but Dr. Londo controls him with the help of his own headband. Thankfully, the Legionnaires arrive and defeat the biogolem. They pursue Timberwolf to make his own choice. Timberwolf hurts Phantom Girl in his wolfed rage, but it helps him regain his senses. This episode was aptly named Wolf-A-Lot, considering that is what happens throughout the episode. Yet this is one of the more well-articulated storylines that makes excellent viewing. Timberwolf spares the life of Dr. Londo, who again appears to be another clone. An orb emerges from the dissolved body, broadcasting Dr. Londo's message of having other sons fulfill his mission. Timberwolf returns with the Legionnaires as Cosmic Boy serves a half-hearted apology. However, as Timberwolf worries about controlling himself, his friends support him.
How do you justify working for a monster like Imperiex?
Chained Lightning. The opening scene of this episode shows a kid, Mekt Ranz, trying to lure the lightning beast of the planet of Korbal to charge their spaceship, while his younger twin siblings, Garth and Ayla, hide behind a rock. Mekt tries to assure his younger siblings, but the beasts electrocute them, giving Garth his eye scar and Mekt his white hair. However, to their horror, Ayla goes missing. Garth wakes from the nightmare of this memory and heads out of his room as Kal-El approaches him. Kal-El inquires about Ayla, but Garth ignores him and heads for the meeting. Brainiac 5 complains that Shrinking Violet has replaced Superman. Shrinking Violet's uniform has changed into green this season. They discuss an energy cloud and storm that has come near the Dominator space, which is helping them power a tachyon cannon that has the ability to destroy even a planet. The team discusses the mission to disperse the storm's power, and Lightning Lad sees Ayla calling him from the storm. Another flashback shows the three Ranz siblings heading to Korbal during a joyride. But suddenly, Ayla turns into a skeleton as she speaks to Mekt. Just like Garth, Mekt wakes up with this nightmare. However, unlike his brother, Mekt hums and dresses as the Lightning Lord and goes outside to meet Imperiex, who orders him to find a definitive conclusion of his sibling rivalry with Lightning Lad. Meanwhile, in the cruiser, Lightning Lad has another vision of Ayla calling for his help from the storm. He freaks out and runs away into the corridor and runs into Kal-El. Lightning Lad shares how he lost Ayla and got his powers, but they are interrupted by turbulence as the Dominator army, along with Validus, Destructobots, and Lightning Lord, attacks them. Garth and Mekt fight, but the electrical charges take Ayla's shape in the sky, shocking them. Imperiex takes the opportunity to kill Lightning Lad, but only one of his arms gets hit by the blow. Lightning Lord looks concerned but has to reluctantly leave as Imperiex retreats. It also appears that Kal-El is becoming more like Superman with time, as he asks others to get the unconscious and injured Lightning Lad inside the cruiser. Brain and Shrinking Violet work together to attach a cybernetic arm to Lightning Lad. This is a plot from the classic comics of the 1960s or the Silver Age Legion story, where Garth lost his arm battling the Moby Dick of space. A budding friendship, and maybe more, can be observed between Brainy and Violet, but this series is about Superman and Brainiac 5. Meanwhile, Mekt is upset at Imperiex for interfering and maybe hurting Garth, but Imperiex orders Lightning Lord to fuel the tachyon cannon, which causes a power disturbance and sends a feedback. Lightning Lad is, however, quite satisfied with his cybernetic arm. They soon encounter the same feedback, and when Shrinking Violet enhances the sound, a human voice reciting a children's rhyme can be heard in the clouds. The animation and sequence in this part are brilliant, as they are the same rhyme Garth told his sister to recite when they were scared of the beasts in Korbal. Lightning Lad realizes it's his sister, and she must have transformed into energy when the lightning beasts attacked her. They also deduced that she must have gained more energy and increased in size over the 10 years. This plot is entirely original, as in the comics, Ayla has powers similar to her brother before being able to negate the force of gravity. Shrinking Violet suggests they might get Ayla back if they recreate the situation. Garth calls Mekt, asking for help getting Ayla back, but Imperiex will not let it happen. The Legion attacks Imperiex's ship, and Mekt betrays Imperiex to do right by his family. The fact that he blamed himself for losing his sister shows a more humane side to this super cool villain. The Legionnaires return to their cruiser, ensuring the tachyon cannon blows up, thanks to Shrinking Violet again, who proves smart and has a unique snorty laugh. Mekt and Garth bring back Ayla, who is still a kid and has not aged for 10 years. Although Garth abides by his childhood promise to Mekt, the villain voluntarily goes to Takron Galtos. Sometime later, Mekt sends a hologram picture from childhood to his siblings, who have gone to Winath to visit their parents. With this, we get closure in this storyline. The Karate Kid. The story unfolds with Grimbor the Chainsman stealing a scientific prototype from a space station that was about to deliver it with Category 9 security. Superman, Cosmic Boy, and Chameleon Boy try to catch him, but Grimbor tricks them with a hologram and escapes. Chameleon Boy blames himself for not following Cosmic Boy's orders, and the latter criticizes him. Cosmic Boy appears to be a jerk of a character who is quite unlikable at this point. Next, Superman suggests another round of Legion auditions, which traumatizes Lightning Lad. The poor guy again suffers at the hands of another applicant called the Calamity King, who most definitely brings some bad luck to Lightning Lad. A former science police, Nemesis Kid, impresses the judges with his knowledge of Grimbor and the ability to negate superpowers. Cosmic Boy replaces Chameleon Boy with Nemesis Kid to oversee the mission. However, our benevolent Superman takes Chameleon Boy to asteroid K-19, where superpowered individuals partake in unsanctioned brawls. They witness Karate Kid being thrown out and denied entry by the referee, and Superman enters the arena disguised. He defeats every challenger until Karate Kid sneaks in and challenges him. As Karate Kid defeats Superman, he gets impressed and recruits Karate Kid. Despite introducing so many new characters, you can see the lesser presence of Saturn Girl, Phantom Girl, or any other female characters due to the executives catering to a more male-centric audience. However, in an interview in The World's Finest Online, James Tucker shared his plans to introduce Supergirl in a future season, which unfortunately did not pan out. The Legion members, especially Cosmic Boy, disapprove of a non-superpowered individual like Karate Kid joining the team. Superman argues that Karate Kid's hard work mattered. This might be a reference to Batman and several other heroes from the Justice League who lacked actual powers. Ultimately, Karate Kid is left to do support work at the cruiser. However, Karate Kid's positivity and relentlessness start to annoy Chameleon Boy. During a night shift, Chameleon Boy notices an alert that Grimbor is raiding another place. He stops Karate Kid from informing others and takes him to stop the robbery. As Grimbor flees, Karate Kid tries to stop him but is knocked off by his bike. Cosmic Boy and Nemesis Kid also appear, but Grimbor still manages to escape, leaving an explosive. Chameleon Boy saves the powerless Karate Kid, but Cosmic Boy and Nemesis Kid rebuke them. As a new recruit, Nemesis Kid is not the humble type, and we can't say it's a great addition. Yet, Nemesis Kid finds Xanithium dust from where Grimbor touched him and confers that Grimbor must be hiding in the outer Venus moon, where this metal is processed. Cosmic Boy tells Karate Kid to leave the Legion quarters and suspends Chameleon Boy for not following orders. Karate Kid loses his positivity, but Chameleon Boy motivates him this time. The duo realizes that Grimbor has set a trap for Legion in the outer Venus moon. Soon enough, we see Grimbor secretly looking at the Legionnaires entering the facility. Grimbor defeats the Legionnaire boys, Lightning Lad, Cosmic Boy, Nemesis Kid, Superman, and Timberwolf with a gun that strips them of their powers. Grimbor confesses working for Imperiex and even shares that he took inspiration from Nemesis Kid for the gun. But of course, there is one person who can be of help, and that is Karate Kid, who arrives with Chameleon Boy. Karate Kid fights Grimbor, who tries to escape, ushering in the Destructor bots. Chameleon Boy takes inspiration from Karate Kid and removes the bindings Grimbor had placed on him. He uses the gun to give back the power to the Legionnaires, who destroy the Destructor bots. At the same time, Karate Kid defeats Grimbor with just physical strength and determination, throwing him among explosives. The episode ends positively, as Karate Kid is sworn in as a Legionnaire. At the same time, Nemesis Kid appears more humble and performs support duties, just like Chameleon Boy, as they both appreciate Karate Kid. Who am I? We have already covered the first half of Season 2, and the threat of Imperiex invasion remains the consistent theme. In this episode, Chameleon Boy morphs into Persuader as he practices with his teammates before infiltrating Imperiex's forces. However, he is too gullible to behave like Persuader, so Brainy develops a technology that will make Chameleon Boy believe he is the Persuader. Although Superman has his inhibitions and tells Cham that he is not obliged to alter his personality, Cham still chooses to go through the procedure. Immediately after the process, Cham as Persuader breaks out of the facility and escapes in a space shuttle to meet Imperiex. Imperiex orders Persuader to fight Validus to prove himself, and after Cham as Persuader succeeds, Imperiex shows him a new secret weapon while divulging plans about attacking the planet of Mada. The Legion observes the interactions with the help of an implanted camera. Problems increase when the real Persuader, who was brought out from Takron Galtos, breaks out of the cruiser and leaves to find his atomic axe. Believing that Chameleon Boy is in danger, the team leaves to rescue him. Meanwhile, the real Persuader confronts Cham as Persuader, and as the two fight, the Dominator scientists suggest blowing up both of them. Before that happens, the Legionnaires arrive to save Cham and leave with him, while Imperiex and his minions also escape, destroying the base. Brainiac 5 reverts Chameleon Boy to his original form, but his voice and personality remain unchanged. Superman gets uncharacteristically angry and strangles Brainy for distorting Chameleon Boy's sense of identity. He takes Chameleon Boy through memory simulations to help him remember. Although this brings our favourite kid back, Superman is puzzled as he doesn't remember a memory scene he shared with Chameleon Boy. Superman asks Computo to show him his own memories, and an image of the LSV appears, which makes Superman turn into the shapeshifter Ron Carr. As it turns out, the real Superman is captured by Imperiex, who was already aware of Chameleon Boy being a Persuader and has instead sent Ron Carr to infiltrate the Legion and place nano-monitors. Ron Carr tries to escape, but Cham catches him with a little bit of wit and humour. However, imbibing Superman's personality changes Ron Carr, who wants to help the Legion. He shares that Imperiex intends to attack Durla, which is Chameleon Boy's home planet. Even though Imperiex has several villains to aid him, James Tucker had plans to make Alexis Luthor join Imperiex and later betray him, albeit for selfish reasons. But of course, the plan was tanked, and another opportunity to use Alexis went down the drain. Elsewhere, a captive Superman asks Imperiex why he wants to attack Durla, and the Dominator scientist explains that the planet has space routes that are important to win a galaxy. But also, there's the revenge angle, as Imperiex points out. Imperiex reveals his secret weapon to be a special missile that he targets on Durla. The all-boy Legionnaire team attacks Imperiex's spaceship and the missile, which is now headed for Durla. The missile's unique properties help it multiply whenever anyone tries to destroy it. When Ron Carr as Superman tries to remember its weakness, Imperiex arrives with an implant device restoring him to Ron Carr completely. Chameleon Boy tries to convince him otherwise, but Ron Carr returns with Imperiex. Meanwhile, Lightning Lad and Kal-El have helped the real Superman escape. Despite all his shenanigans, Imperiex's arrogance becomes the downfall of his plans, as Ron Carr gets upset at his comments and headbacks to join the Legion. He destroys one of the missile's circuits, which causes all other missiles to self-destruct. After Ron Carr leaves, the team speculates on whether Superman's personality made him good or brought out the goodness that was always inside of Ron Carr. Unnatural alliances. The story in this episode takes us to a desert-like planet where the Terror Man questions a middle-aged woman about a boy called Abel. When she denies knowing of his whereabouts, Terror Man and his old West-attired robotic mates gun her down. Legionnaires like Kal-El, Duo Damsel, Brainiac 5, Bouncing Boy and Starboy arrive to take on them. Terror Man finds the little boy called Abel and tries to kill him, but Kal-El rescues the boy. Starboy drops a large stone on Terror Man and his companions. As the Legionnaire discusses Abel being an orphan and looked after by a robot woman, we see the child cling to Kal-El. Later, Brainy and Duo Damsel examine a metal sample from Terror Man to get some clues and ask Kal-El to spend some time with Abel. Kal-El bonds with Abel, while Brainy and Duo Damsel discover that the metal sample has self-regenerating abilities akin to 41st century technologies. To their horror, Imperiex surrounds their ship with the Destructobots' army and asks them to hand over Abel. Kal-El gives his flight ring to Abel and promises to protect him. Kal-El and Starboy leave to fight off the Destructobots, while Bouncing Boy escapes with the cruiser. However, Terror Man and his friends put explosives on the spaceship to gain entry. Terror Man makes it through the cruiser and grabs Abel, but when he attaches the boy to his space bike, Starboy and Kal-El confronts him. Unfortunately, Terror Man's companions have also surrounded Starboy and Kal-El. As they aim at the heroes, Imperiex comes to their rescue, while Terror Man declares that he is not working for Imperiex. This is Starboy's second proper appearance in the series. Although the story arc of this series is based on the pre-Zero Hour Legion era, the aspects of Starboy are based on his modern incarnation. Kal-El follows Imperiex, who has taken off with Abel, while Starboy remains back and forms a planetoid to trap Terror Man and his group. Upon confrontation, Imperiex reveals that in the future, Abel will develop the interface entwining technology and flesh that will give birth to Imperiex. Therefore, he is only protecting Abel and taunts Kal-El to kill Abel. As Kal-El is unable to harm the boy, Imperiex declares he is going soft while working with Legion. Imperiex leaves with Abel and sends his Destructobots after Kal-El. Realizing that Terror Man is on the same mission as him, Kal-El escapes and goes to meet him. Terror Man and his group escape from the planetoid, and Kal-El meets them. He learns that K3NT is the one who has sent Terror Man. To prove his allegiance, Kal-El destroys the Legion cruiser's engine and tags along with Terror Man and his group to find Abel. The character of Terror Man has gone through several revisions over time and was originally an American West child raised by aliens who became a superpowered outlaw and challenged Superman in the 1970s comics. In this version, Terror Man appears to be more like a cyborg. Meanwhile, Imperiex and Abel camp on an asteroid. where Imperiex shares a bedtime story of his own origin. Imperiex reveals that he was a slave warrior who was stripped away of his weaknesses through all the battles and rose against his enslavers to become the galactic invader. The story doesn't really help Abel fall asleep, and Imperiex resorts to scolding. By this time, Terraman and Kal-El have arrived, but Kal-El cuts the head off of Terraman's companion robots and fights alongside Imperiex against Terraman. As soon as Terraman is killed, Imperiex attempts to kill Kal-El. The Legion arrives in time to stop this from happening, and Imperiex teleports away. Aboard the cruiser, Kal-El and Duo Damsel fondly watch over Abel, playing with action figures that Abel has created himself. Although the episode ends with the Legion riding off into the sunset, the birth of Imperiex remains inevitable.
Without a yellow sun, you are as powerless as the rest of your brothers in here.
Message in a bottle. As the story of Imperiex continues, this one starts with a Legion team arriving at Superman's Fortress of Solitude in the Arctic, with Imperiex and his Destructobots already waiting for them. Superman recalls that he built the place only a few months back in the 21st century, while Brainiac 5 warns him not to learn much about his past while snooping into the fortress. However, before the rest of the team can arrive, Imperiex and his soldiers, as well as Superman, get miniaturized and sent inside the bottled city of Kandor. The residents ask Superman if he has come to fulfill the promise of liberating them, but Superman is as clueless as ever. He finds Imperiex threatening the people about the messenger and goes to defend them. Since the bottled city has a red sun, Superman is powerless and falls to the ground when Imperiex hits him. Outside the bottle, a Superman-like robot explains the city to the Legionnaires and shrinks them with a machine to send them into the city. Shrinking Violet tries to shrink by herself, but it interferes with the machine, and she appears unnaturally taller than others in the city. The robot Superman bears some resemblance to another Superman villain, Cyborg Superman. The Legionnaires find Superman lying on the ground while being licked by a dog, which is most definitely a reference to Krypto. Brainiac 5 explains that the Messenger was a device created by Superman's father to stabilize Krypton from Kandor. However, when an alien terror stole and miniaturized Kandor, it destroyed Krypton. Imperiex is now after the device to use it against his enemies. Superman dons the battlesuit that the robot has sent to fight against Imperiex and Validus, who are now threatening the Chancellor to get a map to the Messenger. Imperiex finds the Chancellor escaping with the map and grabs it from him, while the team saves the Chancellor and the people. However, they are shocked to see the same markings as the Terror on Brainy's forehead. Brainy confesses about his ancestor Brainiac 1.0, aka the Terror that stole Kandor. Superman gets upset at Brainy for hiding this information and argues with him. Later, Shrinking Violet approaches Brainy as he goes through several files to find the Messenger. Brainy shares his worries about turning evil like his ancestor and finds the image of a temple from the map Imperiex was holding. The Legionnaires confront Imperiex before entering the temple. Brainy deduces that the Messenger must be buried underneath. As the Legionnaires go through a tunnel, the constant crystallization process by the Messenger creates obstacles and damages Superman's battlesuit. While Superman and Brainy reach the Messenger and get it to the surface, the rest of the Legionnaires get captured by Imperiex, who uses them as pawns to get the Messenger. Brainy suggests destroying the Messenger and rescuing as many people as possible, making Superman angry. Brainy again blames Superman for failing to defeat the original Brainiac in the first place. Considering that the second season started with Brainy's weird obsession over Superman, the rest of the series does not really follow the theme, and then there's this bit of fallout. While Superman leaves to fight Imperiex, Brainy tries to access the files of Brainiac 1.0. Despite the warnings of downloading malware, Brainy overrides the protocol and accesses Brainiac 1.0, who gives him a drive with information. Brainiac 1.0 warns Brainiac 5 of the file, opening up new possibilities, but Brainy still inserts it inside his head, and then we see a wicked smile on Brainy's face. The events of this episode, particularly this scene, are a significant foreshadowing for later events that we will discuss when the time comes. However, for a person with 12th level intelligence, this action lacks appropriate foresight. Meanwhile, Superman fights Imperiex and his army alongside the Kandorians. Brainy appears during the fight in his mecha form, and changes the red sun to a yellow sun, giving all the Kandorians, including Superman, their powers. The scene features Krypto's possible descendant and an orange cat resembling Streaky, who is Supergirl's companion. The Legionnaires are also free and fight back, forcing Imperiex and Validus to teleport away. Later, Superman finds the ruins of Krypton and throws the messenger at it, which brings the planet back. Superman and Brainy restore Kandor, and later, they apologize to each other. However, Brainy wipes out Superman's memories of the events immediately, and the Legionnaires lie to Superman so that they don't affect his future. While Shrinking Violet appreciates Brainy for facing his fears, another sly smile at the end of the episode foretells a darker future.
I'm sure you'll know soon enough who was behind it.
In the beginning, it is time we finally meet the sponsor of the Legion of Superheroes, R.J. Branday, who is being awarded by Senator Tolway at an award ceremony at the United Planets. Cosmic Boy accepts the award alongside R.J. Branday, while Chameleon Boy, Kal-El, and President Winnemar Wazzo are in attendance. Despite being a founding member, Lightning Lad is not here, as he can be seen in the hospital coaxing Matter-Eater Lad to eat something. Saturn Girl wakes up and jokes with Lightning Lad. She also asks about Cosmic Boy. As R.J. Branday delivers his speech, the award show is crashed by the scavengers, this time led by Grimbor the Chainsman. The scene also reveals Branda to be Chameleon Boy's wealthy father. Having picked up the telepathic reading, Saturn Girl and Lightning Lad also arrive there. However, an update on Grimbor's belt neutralizes all the Legion members, and Grimbor escapes with a captured R.J. Branday. As the Legion's cruiser follows Grimbor's ship, an argument erupts between Lightning Lad, Cosmic Boy, and Saturn Girl. It is confirmed that Cosmic Boy is back as the leader, and we can assume that Bouncing Boy may have resigned after the Sun Eater events. When Kal-El comments that their arguments are affecting the mission, Brainiac 5 shares the story of the three founding members. In the past, when they were all kids, Lightning Lad and Cosmic Boy befriended each other while traveling to Earth. Wanting to see the richest man, Lightning Lad breaks into the upper class section as Cosmic Boy reluctantly tags along. Various aliens can be seen in this deck, and one looks similar to Zoidberg from Futurama. While the kid version of the characters seems identical to their adult versions, it's clear that Lightning Lad is more carefree, while Cosmic Boy is a typical good boy. They befriend Saturn Girl, who soon discovers that R.J. Branda is about to be attacked. The three kids work together to defeat and capture the assassinators, but Brandy's assistant, Roderick Doyle, only offers the kids lollipops. Upon arriving on Earth, the kids get inspired by the Superman Museum and decide to form a group to find out who wants to kill Branday. They investigate together and realize that Doyle is behind the murder plan and catches him red-handed. Doyle confesses that he wanted to gain hold of Brandy's company, which makes artificial suns and can destroy stars for cash. As Doyle escapes after activating the generators, Cosmic Boy saves everyone from the blast. An impressed Branday vouches to sponsor the Legion for a lifetime. In the present, Saturn Girl senses Branday is held in the Branday Industries Stellar Nursery. The team appears in the nursery, but a chained Branda informs that it's a trap. Senator Tolway appears as the man behind the abduction, who is revealed to be Doyle in disguise. The Legionnaires fight against the scavengers and Grimbor, but Doyle activates the nearby gravity generators, which start creating a black hole. The founding members, Saturn Girl, Lightning Lad, and Cosmic Boy, destroy the satellite together. As the villains get sent to prison, the three reconcile, surprising Kal-El. Brandy also shares how proud he is of his son, Chameleon Boy. Later, a flashback of the original superheroes from Season 1 could be seen in their oath ceremony in their kid version. The characters are shown wearing the Silver Age version of the costumes. The scene changes into the present as we see all of them as adult Legionnaires repeating their vows. We are also glad to see Matter-Eater Lad among the lot. Trials. It is the last lighter storyline before we gear up for the ultimate showdown. The story brings us back to Zarok, where the High Council punishes Zix with a bracelet that inhibits powers until he passes the trials. A dark wizard called Mordru returns from banishment shocking the High Council. The leader is shocked to see a wizard who has not yet completed the trial amass such power, and Mordru explains that the Lamentation Pentacle has given him such powers. Teleports Zix to the Legion's cruiser. Meanwhile, Mordru draws magical powers from the council members, which makes them old. Although Zix is still a carefree brat, he still shares everything with the Legionnaires. Not wanting to babysit the teenage Zix, Superman and the team decide to leave him in the care of Kal-El. As Kal-El accompanies Zix in his trials, the White Witch appears from Zix's magic band, guiding him and providing instructions for the trials. The White Witch is an extended character from the Legion comics, often depicted as the sister of Dreamgirl and from a planet called Nultor. While the Legionnaires fight Mordru's army, Zix and Kal-El face a monster in the Cave of Law. Kal-El finds that his powers are not working, and the giant monster swallows Kal-El. It immediately spits out Kal-El, and we guess clones are not really suitable for its taste buds. Zix notices that the beast is actually trying to protect its eggs, which are hanging from a tree. Zix protects the eggs and gives them to the monster, passing the first trial. Next, they travel to another location, and Kal-El seeks to learn magic from Zix. However, Kal-El has a hard time pronouncing the incantations, and Zix finds him hopeless. The duo crosses a stone bridge over a river of lava and comes across a door with riddles. As the bridge starts falling apart, Zix has to answer quickly. After a few failed attempts, Zix succeeds, and they land in a room filled with frozen sorcerers who once failed the trials. As the crystals try to freeze them, Zix and Kal-El work together to escape, leading to Zix completing the trials and getting his band removed. The combination of Kal-El with kids is sometimes more endearing and entertaining than Superman's camaraderie with the fanboys and fangirls. Meanwhile, Mordru also entraps the Legionnaires, drawing their strength and showing them illusions. But just as Mordru is about to harness all their power, he is attacked by Kal-El. To fend him off, Mordru turns the Legionnaires into mystical beings and monsters who attack Kal-El. As he gets cornered, Kal-El tries to use the counterspell Zix taught him. Kal-El brings everyone back to normal. Albeit a few tries later, the Legionnaires fight together and exhaust Mordru as they once did to Zix. This time, Zix uses his powers to remove the Lamentation Pentacle and destroy it. It's interesting to see a Superman clone use magical powers when the episode shows Superman being vulnerable to magic. The council members regain their strength, and together with Zix, they encase Mordru in rock as Starboy sinks him deep into the ground. The Sorcerers' Council returns Zix his helmet, which was taken away as punishment. They also thank Kal-El for putting up with Zix, which is no less of a feat, considering the events of Season 1.
Hey, can you guys handle this? What? You got somewhere more important you need to be?
In Your Dreams. It is the last episode before we head on to the season finale, and it starts with a group of soldiers using ninja techniques to break into a factory. They defeat some robot guards and attempt to steal liquid penitate, a highly explosive chemical. A Legionnaire team tries to stop them, but the soldiers, identifying themselves as the Dark Circle, turn on the invisibility devices of their costumes to attack back. They defeat the Legionnaire and get away with the liquid. However, let's not despair, as this was only a dream seen by Dreamgirl, which was recorded by Brainiac 5. Brainy uses the recording for a briefing, and the team formulates a plan to stop the dream from becoming a reality. So when the Legionnaires confront the Dark Circle at the factory, it's already too predictable and easy for them to fight and stop the robbery. Yet, Ontier, the leader of the Dark Circle soldiers, escapes with explosive triggers and informs the Dark Circle superior Gullug of the situation. On the other hand, is exceptionally relaxed and doesn't pay attention to Brainiac 5's debriefing as they rely on Dreamgirl. Surprisingly, Lightning Lad is the only one who does not believe her. It is now quite clear that Lightning Lad and Dreamgirl have a shared past. As the two confront each other, we learn that Dreamgirl lied to Garth's parents about finding Ayla on the planet of Nema. Dreamgirl is often called Madam Mysterious, which is her pre-Legion name. Everyone in the Legion is aware of Dreamgirl's past as a fortune teller who often lied about her predictions. Dreamgirl confesses that it was because she often struggled to deliver the bad news. Unfortunately, when Dreamgirl enters Brainy's lab to record her dreams, an invisible Dark Circle soldier plants a device on the machines. Later, when the team sits to see her dream, Dreamgirl claims to have not seen any dream. A team comprising Lightning Lad, Timberwolf and Starboy arrive at an underwater factory where liquid penitate is made with the help of an active volcano. This is the only episode where neither Superman nor Kal-El makes any appearance. Also, it might be a little too late to introduce a female character with such powers. It seems like Dreamgirl was only used as a plot device. Things turn sour and not in Dreamgirl's favor when the Legion team gets ambushed by Dark Circle soldiers, as the dream was fake, and a scene orchestrated by the Dark Circle. The leader also lies that Dreamgirl aided them, further turning the Legionnaires against her. The Dark Circle defeats the Legionnaires and leaves as the factory blows up. Later, the Legionnaire boys try to arrest Dreamgirl, and nobody is ready to believe her. As Lightning Lad aims his cybernetic arm at her, Dreamgirl wakes up from the dream and leaves the cruiser. However, she is soon captured by the Dark Circle soldiers as the Legionnaires watch them go. Ontir injects Dreamgirl with a sedative, forcing her to dream. In the dream, the Legionnaires and Dark Circle soldiers fight at the United Planet's dedication ceremony, and Ontir notices a point where the Legionnaires leave themselves exposed. Meanwhile, the Legionnaires are tense now that Dreamgirl is captured by the Dark Circle. The next day, all their efforts are affected by the Dark Circle's awareness in advance. Realizing that the Dark Circle is working as per the dream, Brainiac 5 leads his team to the bridge and Dark Circle blows up the bridge. However, it was only a holographic image of the team, which Brainy projected on the bridge. As Legionnaires fight the Dark Circle soldiers, Lightning Lad fries up the circuits to destroy the cloaking feature. He gets inside the Dark Circle's ship and rescues Dreamgirl, apologizing to her. Assuming they still have the upper hand, Gullag activates detonators that will blow up the satellites, but nothing happens as Dreamgirl and Lightning Lad disarm them. With the absence of the Supermans, Lightning Lad and Brainiac 5 emerge as the true heroes of the episode. As the team commends Dreamgirl and Lightning Lad for their partnership, we wish there were some more episodes that would present some other unique pairings working together. Dark Victory, Part 1. The series finale is divided into 2 segments, and it's quite remarkable that the first segment is not a top-rated episode. The episode starts with Brainiac 5 playing a game of chess with Brainiac 1.0 inside his mind. The chess pieces are all Superman and Brainiac 5 models, indicating how they are used as pawns. Brainiac 1.0 urges Brainy to tap into his hidden potential and bring order to chaos. Brainy defies him and attacks, only to find Imperiex hidden inside Brainiac 1.0. Brainy realizes that Imperiex is the one who influenced Brainiac 1.0 to come alive. It appears that Imperiex planned this since he tapped into Computo in episode 2 of this season. As Brainiac 5 wakes up from this dream, we see Imperiex prepare his army and tell them how Brainiac 5 joining his side will make him invincible. The legion of superheroes and substitute heroes assemble as the 3 founding members stand on the pedestal, with Cosmic Boy delivering a speech. Later, Kal-El shares his suspicions about Brainy with Superman, and he is proven right when, in a training simulation, Brainiac 1.0 overpowers Brainy while he controls Computo. Brainy's eyes glow completely purple when he gets overpowered. Brainy increases the difficulty level of the simulation without any warning, which injures the Legionnaires in action. Superman forcibly breaks into the control room to wake up Brainy. It looks like Brainiac 1 is getting stronger as his apparitions now appear to Brainiac 5 in the real world. Superman senses the altering of Brainiac 5's mind and still assures to be his friend. However, Brainy makes Superman promise that if he turns downright evil, Superman will do what is necessary. Interestingly, Corey Burton, the voice of Brainiac, has already once voiced the role in the DC animated universe. Before they are finished, Imperiex and his army attack the ship, and Superman confines Brainy to the room. While the founding 3 members remain to protect the ship from intruders, others go outside to fight. Kal-El again goes after Imperiex to fulfill his mission, but gets subdued. As Brainy watches the ongoing battle, Brainiac 1 comes to him, and this time, Brainy gives in. When Saturn Girl, Lightning Lad and Cosmic Boy are unable to defeat the Dominators, Brainy takes the mecha form and kills all the Dominators in the ship in a swift. He also destroys all the Dominator ships in one blow, and with that, Imperiex and Validus retreat, as Imperiex planned this attack to unleash Brainiac 5's dark side. Brainy turns back to normal and returns to their cruiser, yet a suspicious Superman asks his teammates to keep an eye on Brainy. Evil Brainiac 5 soon knocks out every Legionnaire and tries to escape with the ship. However, he is faced with Superman, and as the two fight, Brainy finally takes the form of Brainiac 1. He knocks out Superman with a kryptonite beam and puts on a crown with kryptonite on Superman. As Brainiac escapes, Cosmic Boy and Kal-El rescue Superman and take him to the infirmary, where he is next shown to be recovering from kryptonite poisoning. This episode is added as a bonus for the 4K Blu-ray release of the Death and Return of Superman video in 2019. And for a long time, the two-part series finale was the only episode in Season 2 that was released in DVD formats. Coming back to the story, the Legionnaires find Brainiac 5's ship headed for Imperiex. Imperiex rejoices at Brainiac 5 coming over and becoming his ally. He calls the Legionnaires and boasts of his evil plans, with Validus and evil Brainiac 5 joining his ranks. However, Imperiex is interrupted when he is impaled by Brainiac 5. Evil Brainiac 5 seemingly kills Validus, but explains that he only digitized the villain, which is Brainiac 5's plan for all living beings. However, to Imperiex's dismay, Brainiac 5 kills and deletes him. Brainiac takes his seat on Imperiex's chair and transforms the ship into a skull-like ship that Brainiac originally used in all comics and animations. The design of Brainiac 5's evil form is quite similar to Brainiac 1, especially with tentacles on the back. The designs are a lot closer to the ones for the DC animated universe. This is perhaps because the makers originally wanted this show to be a part of the DCAU. Imperiex's death shocks Kal-El more than others, as he can no longer fulfill his life's purpose. But more bad news awaits as Lighting Lad and Saturn Girl inform Chameleon Boy that Superman is dead. As the episode ends with such a catastrophic cliffhanger, it now rests upon the last episode to salvage the situation. Dark Victory, Part 2. The final episode starts with evil Brainiac 5 attacking Thanagar. The Thanagarians resist, but Brainiac digitizes them and the whole planet. He then heads towards Kolu, his home planet. The design of the Thanagarians is an exact copy of the ones shown in the Justice League animated series. The Legion watches the development and calls the Koluans to warn them. However, they are too arrogant to take any help and cut the call. It's nice to see Cosmic Boy and Lightning Lad not arguing with each other, and Cosmic Boy has redeemed himself as a leader. He decides it's time to bid Superman goodbye, and with a funeral, they release Superman's body in a casket that travels to the sun. Meanwhile, Koluans capture evil Brainiac 5 and bring him to their planet to reprogram and incorporate him into the hive mind. Back in the cruiser, Kal-El feels useless, and Timberwolf ridicules him for being lost over Imperiex and not Superman. However, all hope is not lost as Kal-El senses Superman and declares he is alive. Although nobody is ready to believe him, Saturn Girl reads Kal-El's mind and realizes that Superman is indeed alive and in a healing coma. Kal-El rescues Superman from the casket as it enters the yellow sun. Later, the team attempts to bring back Superman by transfusing Kal-El's blood with Superman. On the other hand, Brainiac 5 refuses to allow the reprogramming, and instead, he overpowers the Koluans, turning the whole community into his warriors. Together, the Koluans and Brainiac 5 travel across space, consuming and digitizing every planetary body in their path. The ship arrives in front of the Legion's cruiser and attempts to digitize it, but using information stored in Computo, the Legion has developed a device that will prevent digitization. The Legion fights against Brainiac 5 and the Koluans, while Superman and Kal-El wake up. Brainiac 5 now uses the Koluans to transform into a giant, with the ship acting as the head. However, Superman is still too weak to head out for battle. The Meta Brainiac 5 finds a weakness in the immunity device of Colossal Boy and destroys it, which allows him to digitize Colossal Boy. As the Legion continues their fight, Saturn Girl projects the Supermans inside Brainiac 5's mind. They find the real Brainy in a broken condition inside his mind, with the original Brainiac taking over. Brainiac 1 recognizes Superman from the 20th century, while the mental projection of Superman and Kal-El fights Brainiac. The appearance of these projections is an homage to the Superman Red and Superman Blue story from the imaginary tale of the Silver Age. While the giant Brainiac 5 proceeds to digitize everyone, the real Brainiac 1 also attempts to do the same to the Superman's projections. As a last resort, Saturn Girl merges the mental projections of Superman and Kal-El to make the Supreme Superman, who fights Brainiac 1. Brainiac 1 steps on Supreme Superman, who still has hopes for Brainiac 5. This awakens Brainy, who detangles himself and finally fights back against his evil ancestor. As Brainy forces Brainiac 1 to get out of his mind, it causes a blast on the ship's head, and everything that was once digitized gets restored. With a beam of light, the mechanical parts from Brainy's robotic body fall off, and he turns into a real human boy with a green body and just a marking on his forehead. This is the only scene with a cameo of Dawnstar among the Legion crowd. Later, Kal-El expresses his gratitude to the Legion for helping him find a better purpose. As he prepares to leave for the future, Superman stops him and gives him the Legion flight ring and belt to swear him in. The opened portal for the future also brings back the missing triplicate girl. This is probably because Imperix's defeat has restored the future. The more human Brainy takes a leave from the Legion to sort out his new human feelings. Despite all these closures, the episode ends on a scene of the torn parts of Brainiac 5 reassembling to form an evil Brainiac 6, which says, "Evil does not die, but evolves." Overall, the Legion of Superheroes can be considered a light watch, as it is devoid of too many complicated plots. There's barely any drama, and it largely caters to a younger audience profile. However, its commendable transformation scenes and alignment with the comics are a real tribute to fans. Are you satisfied with the way Superman has worked with the Legion? Or do you find something missing in this storyline?